welcome to the Financial Freedom Festival.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to give it just a moment to have more people join. I know the meeting said it's not started, so I'm going to give it a minute for more attendees to just tune in, and then we'll start in like 3 pause. Give it 1 minute. See if I can put on tune. See if we reach 30 then. Good. Okay, cool. Okay, everyone, so welcome to the Financial Freedom Festival. I would like to start off by thanking our partners, the Wealth Room, GDT Wealth, and PPS for hosting in collaboration with Golden Key Society of Stellenbosch, UCT, and UWC. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure working with you guys. So on the topic of financial freedom, I think a lot of people define it differently because really it's really closely linked to your dreams and your lifestyle. And the only thing that's certain is that financial freedom doesn't just happen. It's a series of decisions that you have to make. So that's the topic of this festival that we're doing. It's a 3-day event. So day 1 is with Rudy Bauer, is going to be on just now. And then tomorrow's session is with Landiwe Ntlokwana from GDT Wealth, where she will be focusing on investments. And the last day, we're going to do an interactive Q&A where we will try to answer as many questions that we have from the attendees. So it is 2020, so please interact with us online, leaving questions in the Q&A block whenever you feel something is a bit unclear. And then very important is to fill in the Google form that we have. We've got 2 prizes running on it. PPS has sponsored 2,500 Rand unit trust investments each. The one prize will go out for the best question, and the other prize will go out for a lucky draw from all of the questions that we've gathered. So let's get to business. Our first speaker is Rudy Bauer, with 10 plus years of financial industry experience, acting as a financial planning specialist and a financial lifestyle coach. Recently promoted to a director at the Wealth Room. Rudy is really energetic and passionate about what he does. So please reach out to him after the event if you'd like to discuss anything relating to your finances. He's happy to help. To show you guys a bit of Rudy's personality, I would like to ask him to start with his definition of altruism and why it's so important to him. Take it away, Rudy. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sean. With that introduction, I don't think I need to say anything more. Yeah, it's such an honor for me to be able to chat to you guys today. Financial freedom is truly a passion of mine because I think it's something that's fairly misconstrued, especially in our day and age, because we live in an instant gratification world, and Instagram tells us all that we need to be the next richest person in the world. So there's nothing wrong with being rich, but I just think that the way that we identify with that is key. So yeah, I think one of the things, so Sean asked me to define altruism. It's basically, you can Google the word if you don't know what it is. It's definitely to the core of how we run our business at the Wealth Room, and it's also my core value. The Merriam-Webster says that it's an unselfish regard for or a devotion to welfare of others. So it basically just refers to a quality being possessed by people who focus more on something else and other people rather than themselves, and wanting to add value to wherever they are, or whoever they're speaking to. And to me, that's just who I am at the core and how I run my business. And I'd like to, I hope that permeates through in the way that I present this 90 minutes with you guys today. So what I'll be doing is I'm just going to be speaking about some principles, and then if we have some time, I'll answer some of your really great questions. So basically, just to start off with, the reason why I call it principles and why I'd like to speak about this is because there's certain principles that play to life that you cannot argue them. I mean, if I have to take this pen and drop it, there's no way that it's going to hit the ceiling. It will hit the ground every single time. And that's because of the principle of gravity. And I mean, guys that like the flat earth stuff will probably have different kinds of arguments with me on that. But the principle is, that there are certain things in life that are not changeable. And if you follow these principles, there's no way that you cannot succeed. So I'd like to share that with you, and I really hope that it resonates and that it, inspires you, or that it helps you. That's really my intention. And I'd like to just extend an invitation that, after the session, you're welcome to connect with me on various social media platforms. My LinkedIn is just Rudy Bouwer. We've got a YouTube channel called The Wealth Room. That content will be updated. We've only recently started that, so if you have some tips on how to improve, that'll be awesome. But the idea is to just really give out quality content and advice to people for free. And then also Instagram and Facebook, that's all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get stuck into it. Are you guys ready? Because I am. I'm Rudy, and you guys are ready. Awesome. Let's go, guys. So the very first principle is, every single one of you have probably heard this before, but it's to set life goals. Now, setting goals is probably one of the things that I've come to notice with my clients are the hardest things that they, get, or the hardest thing for them to actually sit down and do, because that's one of the things that we do when we do, go through an integrated wealth planning tool. We get all the assets and liabilities and all that kind of stuff, but one of the key features to what we do is we set goals with our clients, and people really struggle with that. And the reason for that is I've noticed that people don't really like that accountability that setting goals creates in their life, because that then means that if something fails, that it was their fault because they actually knew what they wanted to achieve. And to me, I think that that's quite concerning, especially when you're looking at people that are way older than you, and certainly, myself and certainly you. So yeah, setting goals is probably one of the most powerful things that will, get you to live the life that you want. And I'm just going to give you some practical guides. First of all, you need to decide what you want. What is it that you want from your life? What do you want to achieve with this life that you are living? Things don't just happen to you. I kind of believe that you happen to life, because you're a force to be reckoned with, and you're powerful in nature. We've all been destined for greatness, and that means that there's something within us. So dream big, have a big goal. And what is that? Define that for yourself. It could be 10 things or just one thing. Very importantly, is write that goal down. Excuse me, preferably on a piece of paper. Excuse me for that. It's preferably on a piece of paper, because I think, we've become so accustomed to technology that we write everything down on our phones. Now, I'm not saying if you're somebody that takes notes on an iPad or on your phone that it's wrong. I think there's just something powerful to writing something down in a book that's designated for goals and ideas and thoughts. We get blessed and gifted with thoughts daily, and they come and go. And sometimes we just think that life isn't giving us what we require of it or what we want from it, but we're not really taking the responsibility to show that we are actually grateful for the thoughts that are entering into our minds. And I do that by writing them down on a piece of paper. This is my little black book, and my little black book also has a little flash disk on it, so that one of my PAs can go write them down, and that I can have access to that on my computer if I want. But I'm actually physically doing the writing down into a book, and that really helps me to just be focused in that moment, to not be distracted by social media or notifications or WhatsApp or email. That moment to me is sacred because it's thoughts that have been given to me, and I can then take the time to nurture them and turn them into something. It's almost like a seed, and I can start giving it water and turn it into something that's fruitful. So yeah, writing down your goals is very, very important. The third part is to tell someone, preferably someone that has good intentions for you. A mentor, preferably, or somebody that's on the same path as you, that can share the sentiment of your goals. Because I've come to understand and know, in my lifetime, especially the more successful I started becoming, is that people, I must be careful how I state this, but people don't really want you to succeed. So when you share your ideas with them, generally people will show you a level of disinterestedness. That is a word, it's actually a virtue. Go search it if you like. But they'll also rather show you all the reasons why this thing is going to fail. Okay, so rather find a person that you can tell that has a level of interestedness or interest in you and wanting to see you succeed in whatever you do. All right. The fourth part would be is breaking your goal down into how you're going to achieve it, by when you're going to achieve it. A timeline is very important. And then also why you want to achieve it. What is the reason that you want to achieve this goal? Why is it so important to you? Then you need to plan the first step. I think it was Aristotle that said, beginning well is half the job done. And that's really it. Get that first step into motion, that you can start getting momentum into your life and creating a space where you are now really accountable to starting something. Most people talk a lot and never really start. Starting is also one of the things that a lot of people do, and finishing is what they struggle to do with, but we can speak about that on another time. Then keep going. Think and Grow Rich, probably one of the most influential books I've read in my life, by Napoleon Hill. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, who was a steel magnate back in the day in America, to write a book on the most successful people in the world. He spent 25 years interviewing over 500 of the most successful people in the world. Thomas Edison being one of them, Rockefeller, presidents, Henry Ford, amidst many other. And the one key principle to that book is why each one of these people succeeded in life is because they never gave up. Now, I know that's a massive cliche, but it is a cliche for a reason. And so I really kind of like cliches, because it means that they are told over and over because they probably work. And then lastly, when you've written down your goals and you've achieved them, learn to celebrate. Learn to celebrate in a way that is, getting yourself something that you really feel you deserve for this, because that will take away the level of entitlement to wanting certain things. Rather achieve things than acquire things. And that's just kind of how I run my life regarding goals. And I think this is super important. If you take anything away today, maybe just start there and just keep that one principle close to your heart, and start with that, because it's a difficult one. It's taken me probably 10 years now to be super intentional with that. Right. Principle number 2 is giving is essential. Yes. What we are talking about in this festival is about financial freedom. It's not about acquiring wealth or becoming rich. There's actually a difference between wealth and being rich in my books. So this is how I perceive it. Being rich means that you have a lot of money. Being wealthy means that you are healthy in all aspects of your life, that you have a healthy financial circumstance, you have healthy relationships, you're healthy spiritually, and you're also a healthy human being. You need to manage all aspects of that, of your life. And one of the reasons why I'm going to tell you that giving is essential is because I want you to understand the principle that how you identify with money will be a very significant part of the rest of your life. And what I mean by saying that is, if you can only identify with happiness once you're rich, and that becomes the essence of your identity, how will you be happy if you lose all your money? Money is liquid. You can lose it in a day. I've seen very, very, very affluent, wealthy clients lose their money in a very short space of time, and that just happened now in COVID-19. So life is fickle, guys, and money even more so. So don't create an identity where being rich is all you want to be. It's fine to be rich, but if you study the principles that I'm about to teach you, most of them don't speak to being rich. It's if you live a full life and a life that allows you to understand yourself on a deeper level. Gaining riches will be just one of the offsets of that. You will generate money, and money will flow to you in ways that you've never thought, but you won't find your identity there. And I'd love to just leave that as a side note for you, so that you can understand my heart behind why I'm sitting here today. So principle number 2 is giving is essential. You need to set yourself free from the claws of Mammon. Now, Mammon is the god of money. And, I know that that's a very airy-fairy thing to say, but it's what I mean by that is that, no man can truly live whilst only living to acquire riches. Being human should be first. You should have the desire to give, so that you don't have this, I'm going to use the word again, entitlement to your money. It's funny that the more you give, the more you get. It's just how. It's the same principle as I used when I said the pen is not going to hit the ceiling. It's going to hit the floor every single time. And it's that law. The law of gravity would say that. But the law of giving is going to create a space that every time you give, you'll get more. And it doesn't have to be money. And you don't have to give money, but find a place in yourself to be a generous human, because that will set you free. It will put you in a way that put you in a place where you don't feel so, clutched by having to acquire things in life, that you have to identify with all the things you have in life. But rather than that you find a purpose, that every time you earn money, it's so that you can give some. And that's really helped me. I really actually struggled with that for some time, even though my altruistic nature is deep in my essence and being, and I'm the perfect person, which I'm not. Just call my wife, she'll probably tell you that. No, I'm kidding. But I think it's just understanding that giving is truly essential to who you are as a human. It just does something for your soul, man. It makes you, it just gives you a confidence about yourself. It sets you free from, whatever you need, whatever you think you want to achieve in life, regarding money. It's something that you need to embrace. Take time to give to people on the street. The Bible speaks about this principle. All the Bibles speak about this principle. All spiritual gurus speak about this principle. There must be a reason for it, and I can vouch for it. It's truly something that has changed my life drastically. And if you haven't been able to give or be generous, just start small. You don't have to start by giving 10% of your income or whatever the teachings are out there, but just find a way to find somebody that you think is deserving of your generosity, and just go give them something, even if it's a piece of advice without them asking for it, and see how that makes you feel. Then also just a practical one that helped me start is to divert one expense. Coffee, guys, we spend so much bucks on coffee. It's not even funny. Rather than buying 2 coffees a day, maybe just buy one. See how much that equates to in a month, and take that sum of money and give it to somebody. Hand it to them in cash, and see how that makes you feel. Because that would have been a sacrificial giving. And then you can just find. You can spend some time with people that are in need. Inspire them. Tell them that everything's going to be okay, or just read to an old lady. It's just be generous with your time and who you are as a person. You can only be better off. Definitely, this will never harm you. Cool. I think you guys get the point on that, and I hope that you guys are still engaged, because these principles are truly close to my heart. And I'm not saying that they are going to get you to a place where you are totally in control of your finances and all that kind of stuff. I can give you those principles and maybe sit down with you at some stage, but I want you to understand these bigger principles to life first before we actually engage with those nitty-gritties. All right, so principle 3 is to live on margin. Understand that less truly is more. Again, a cliche, but a cliche for a reason, because it truly is just something that has made me understand that that I don't need to have everything that I think I need. I need to find a place in my life where gratitude is something that I'm so familiar with and so accustomed to, that it's that kind of affirmation that I share with my wife and with myself on a daily level. But living on margin should actually be a principle that you live in a way that always provides room for error. There's really only 3 ways that a person can arrive to a place. They can either be early, they can be on time, or they can be late. And each one of these say something about who you are as a person. So if you're constantly late, guys, tardiness is not acceptable in any social gathering, or especially not in business. And what it does is that that principle of you being late resonates or it permeates through into the way you run your finances. Because if you're always late, then you're going to constantly be explaining yourself to other people. And that means that to a certain extent, you feel indebted to them because you were late. So now you owe them something, or you now have to be a little bit more humble in class or in a social environment or at the table because you were the one that was late. And the same way with your finances. If you don't allow for a little bit of breathing room for things to go wrong, you'll find yourself more often than not making small debts. That 3, 4, 500 rand becomes 3, 4, 5,000 rand. That 3, 4, 5,000 rand becomes something that you can very easily relate to when buying a car or a house or something much bigger than that, because it's easy for you to just live on the edge every single time, so that you can, when you get a raise or when you earn some extra bucks, that you are just so accustomed to spending every last cent, because that's how you've trained your brain, is when money comes in, I need to spend it. So leave some room for error, guys. Life is fickle and things happen. And the way that I would say to practically set something up, and that you can do today, I'll gladly help you set up a unit trust of some sort through PPS or Allan Gray or other likes. And that's very simple. They get a debit order of 200 Rand a month, and you just start saving into that, and you put it into something like a money market because you want it to be liquid so that you can withdraw at any time. But any good financial planner would not really look at you from an investment point of view if you do not have an emergency fund in place. So I would urge you to do something like that immediately, because if you're going to be sitting in front of somebody that really has an intention to do your financial planning and not just sell you products, they will not even touch you or give you the time of day in terms of starting investments or giving you proper investment advice until you have done that, because you haven't shown that you have the discipline to actually stick to these things. And if you don't have that discipline, you're kind of destined to fail at it, because most really good investments have a time aspect to it, and time requires discipline. And so I would want to urge you to maybe start something like that right now. And that would put you in the position to constantly, if your tire bursts, or if something happens at university and your parents say to you, listen, buddy, you now don't have the luxury of just calling us whenever you want when things go wrong in your life. My parents did that to me in my 3rd year, and I still go on my knees and say thank you for that today, because it taught me this principle that I can't spend everything I earn. So yeah, that's also a very important one. And I think if you guys need help with that, setting up something like that, then I'll be glad to help. There's also very inexpensive bank accounts, that you can open to just transfer money in straight away. I think, as soon as you can get that habit, the better. Then step number 4 is keep out of debt. Yes, I know it's difficult, guys, especially if you're students. Student loans are a real thing. But I want to get this principle across to you as soon as possible, because the corporate environment, corporate banking environment, and the corporate consumer environment has kind of taught us that it's good to be in debt. It's you need debt, and reward us for debt. There's all these fancy little rewards programs that I love because I manage them and I do them well. But I've understood that the principle behind it is that it's actually rewarding me for a bad habit, and that's spending more than I can, spending more than I earn, and also potentially putting myself into debt. But if you use these programs wisely and know how to manage debt, i.e. only use your credit card to buy things that you were going to spend money on anyway, like your groceries. So I put in a certain amount of money into my, or spend exactly what I'm going to spend on groceries every month, and then 30 days later, I just pay all that money back, and that gives me a good credit record. But we can speak about that at some stage, and I'll elaborate a little bit more. But if you are in debt, there are some practical ways that you can actually get out of debt. The one is the snowball. That means is start small and then work your way up to the big one. So pay off the small one first, and then you get the point. You go, by order of elimination, you can start tackling these debts. And then the one that I did that worked very well for me, because after I was a student, or after I studied, I was in an amount of debt, because the very first thing that I did when I earned money, I went and bought myself a flashy BMW, because that's what you do, and you have to impress. So I just started doing some stupid stuff. As soon as I started earning money, I got a credit card. I got a nice little account at some clothing stores, and I, needless to say, upgraded myself into serious debt. But I look good while doing it, so it's justifiable, I guess. No, not really. But yeah, so the avalanche approach is tackle the debts that have the highest interest rate first, because that interest rate is something that will really put you in a position where it actually takes 20 years to pay a debt off. Most of these accounts that we so easily get, especially clothing accounts and furniture and that kind of stuff, the interest rates and the fees that are tied to these accounts, if you do the equation on how long, they say 24 months, but it's not. It takes 24 months to pay off the capital amount, not not the interest. So they don't tell you that. So if you actually do that equation, it doesn't matter the amount. Mostly it'll take you up to 20 years to pay off an account. How scary is that? So I want to be very intentional about the words that I say to you right now. Being in debt is like being a slave, because you're a slave to the system. Now, the last time I checked, being a slave is not being free. All right. So if you go Google the word slave, it will say it's a person who is the legal property of another and is forced to obey them. If you're in debt and you do not live in margin, as I just spoke, or as I just said, you are at risk of someone else being able to come into your house at some stage and repossessing what you own. And that is a horrible thing. I've seen that happen to people that are close to me, and it's something that I think leaves emotional scarring, especially for the people that weren't a part of that decision making. They're just in it, like children and spouses. So yes, I know some of you have some student loans and stuff like that, so don't feel guilty about that. That's for your education. But the reason why I'm saying that is don't create unnecessary debt while you have this big debt. And also start creating a plan now already that you can start getting out of that debt. You can actually get out of that debt much quicker than that you actually think. And yeah, here's a few ways that you can do that. Pay off more than the minimum. Like I just said, if you pay just what they require of you, you'll pay off for more than 20 years. Even if they say it's a 5-year loan or a 10-year loan, it will be way more than that. Definitely up to 20 years for you to pay that off. If you have to look at some practical ways to access a little bit more money so that the previous point will make sense to you because you're living on a budget already, save on groceries to create some more room for debt, to pay off your debt. There's so many ways, guys. There's shops out there that sell non-perishable goods like coffee pods. I mean, I drink Starbucks coffee pods that I buy at a shop for 35 Rand for 10 pods. Those things are 100 Rand in the shop, and there's nothing wrong with it. But there's so many of these kind of shops out there, and find that. Maybe, I'm not saying go and buy bulk toilet paper, but if there's a sale on something, find non-perishable stuff that you can save some bucks on. I know that it sounds silly, and that sounds like something that your grandmother would teach you, but my wife and I have really just started doing that, and it's just a part of our life. We're not couponing or something silly like that, but we just know where the places are that we get the best value for money. We don't necessarily just buy our meat at the closest Pick n Pay or whatever, but we find the butchery that has really good value, and we know where the meat is sourced, all that jazz. But you can really, if you're intentional, you can save quite a lot of money on groceries, because you wouldn't believe how much money you spend on food in a month. It's actually crazy. If you start budgeting properly and start taking account of what and where you're spending money on. Yeah, so track your spending. It's really important to actually start seeing what you're spending money on. To me, it kind of became like a game. There's various tools that you can get. Again, you're welcome to make contact with me, and I'll give you some of these resources. And yeah, and that'll be free. I mean, I won't charge you for it, definitely not. But I think it's really awesome if you can start tracking what you're spending money on. And there's really cool apps right on your cell phone that every time you purchase something, you can just put it right in there and it deducts. Yeah, I think that's very important for you to start getting that habit. Cool. That's the fourth principle, guys. We've got 6 to go. I hope you're still awake and that I'm not boring you to death. But I'm having a good time, so I hope you are too. The fifth principle is that you're not saving unless you can measure the return. Now, this is probably one of the most bizarre things, because like I previously mentioned, in our existing society, the banking and consumer, corporate society has put us in a position where we are rewarded for spending and buying and purchasing. There's e-bucks and all sorts of rewards. But that's not really conducive to becoming financially free, because the fact is that if there's certain things that you're gonna spend money on, and those reward systems will work well if you plan those into, if you take that into consideration. And what I mean by you are not saving unless you can measure the return. If you are using these reward systems to further spend, then you're not saving, because you cannot measure the return of it. So a practical example would be if you get back 300 Rand on eBucks or one of your reward systems or Vitality or whatever it's going to be, then if you're not saving that money into an account and actually measuring that there's a return to it, then you're not saving. That's just what it is. Another example is if you go to the mall with 1,000 Rand today, and you walk into your favorite store, and you see that the shoes that you were gonna buy for 1,000 Rand, I don't even know if you can still buy shoes for 1,000 Rand, are now 700 Rand. You are not saving unless you take that 300 Rand and actually immediately save it into some sort of tool. So it'll either be a unit trust or a bank account that has very low fees. Like I mentioned previously, there's many of them that you can have, but it needs to be so practical that you can actually do it on the spot, so that you can start realizing these returns and realizing savings. Because we can walk out of that store and you know what happens, girls. You walk in there, those shoes are 700 bucks. You came in with your 1,000 bucks. What happens? You have 2 pairs of shoes now, because you actually, now you actually getting 300 Rand or 600 Rand off the next pair of shoes that you're buying. And so now you end up, spending 1,400 bucks instead of the 1,000 bucks that you budgeted for. And the reason why it's important for you to understand this is because we so often say it's so hard for me to save. But we say to so many people, I saved so much today. But you're not realizing that return. So, i.e., it's not a saving. It never will be, never. So don't trick yourself into believing that. Rather set up something in your life that you can realize those savings immediately and have the discipline to see that through. You'll get your pair of shoes and you get a saving, 2 for 1. And I think that that's really just something that's going to elevate your saving habit even further, because you're going to be so conscious of that. You're actually going to start looking for savings. I do stupid little things. My wife laughs at me because I've got it set up on my phone. If we get a 17 Rand saving at a store or whatever, I just pop the money into that account. It's quick. It doesn't take anything out of my time. We spend so much time scrolling through Instagram, but we think it's too much time to actually just log into a bank and transfer some money into an account that's not too accessible to us. So yeah, for me that really works, and I hope that that's a cool tip or trick for you. Principle 6 is the secret of gratitude. So I want you to understand that where you are at this particular point in your life is exactly where you need to be. You don't have to be the person on your Instagram that's, there's always these guys, they're all forever on yachts and living the dream, driving new cars and always surrounded by beautiful people, and then you think, yes, I'm such a freaking loser. I can't be like this person. But the truth is that you are where you are right now for a particular reason. And if you can start just showing gratitude for that and understanding that, you're going to be way more powerful than a rich person. You're going to be what I earlier referred to as a wealthy person, because you're going to be spiritually healthy. You're going to understand that your life has meaning and purpose where you are right now. You have the ability to change somebody else's life with what you have in your hand right now. You don't have to be rich to be influential. You don't have to be rich to be happy. If you're putting these markers on your life as identifications to happiness, you're always going to live in your future. Because trust me, once you start earning money, your need for things change, and you will always be, going to the next level on whatever it is that you want. If you're wearing, certain shoes, if you think you're wearing expensive shoes now, man, wait until you get some money. That's just one of those things. So rather understand that the car that you're driving now is the car that you need to drive. You don't have to have the BMW. And trust me, I know this because I did that. I sold my perfectly good Yaris, which was paid off by, a portion was paid off by my parents, and in my second and third year I had to pay it off. But it was paid off. The best car on the road is a paid car. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It's the best car on the road until a certain point in your life, and then you can buy the things that you want. But if you're not there yet, then rather follow these principles. They will set you free from unnecessary anxiety. But practice that gratitude. Wake up in the morning and say, I'm grateful for who I am. I'm grateful for what I've got. Get into your skedonk if you have one, and tap it on the bonnet and just say, I'm grateful for you. Give it a name if you have to. I just think that just takes away so much pressure and anxiety from what it is that we put on our lives and what we think we need to have to be happy. Because once we get that as a habit and we train our minds that we can only be happy once we acquire certain things, we can never show our minds to just be present, to be where we are right now. And guys, this puts you in a position where you never really find deep, meaningful relationships. You never really find a place where you can actually love yourself, because you're constantly comparing yourself to others that have more. You never really find the place where you're happy with your salary or your income. You will never really be happy with your job. You'll never be happy with your spouse. You'll never be happy with anything really, because you've taught your mind from a young age that there's always something better out there, and it's just not in your reach. You're forever searching for more because everyone else is getting it and you're not. And that's such a trick and a lie that life kind of offers us. And I think, in this social media realm, it can be tremendously toxic, guys. So if that's something that you feel like you struggle with, I would say, just cut yourself off from social media for 3 months. Just get out of it and start affirming some positivity back into your life. And I promise you, it's going to change your life. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to come good from, social media and you, comparing yourself to others. It's just not healthy. Rather just love on yourself and be grateful for what you have and where you are. It truly is a secret hiding in plain sight. And it starts with you. You have a responsibility for your own life and how you run things, and showing gratitude it's just so easy. It really is. And the more you start doing it, the more you'll start seeing that different things start opening into your life. You'll start feeling less anxious about life. You'll feel less depressed. You'll be healthier. You'll be inspired to train more. You'll eat healthier. Everything comes from gratitude. And it'll just show you, it'll just teach you to be a little bit more mindful about your time and your presence and what you say to others about your life. We're so critical about ourselves. We can't pay ourselves a compliment. We can't acknowledge when we've done something well. We always have to be so humble that we actually just ridicule ourselves because we're not grateful for where we are. And another thing, if anything today, I'd love to leave that with you. And I hope that it puts you in a place where you can just be set free from whatever it is that you've put on yourself. You know, it's we label ourselves sometimes because of how other people have labeled us. But yeah, this is it's a very important thing, and you're probably asking yourself, why is this going on about such deep stuff if we're here to learn about our finances? But again, like I said in the beginning, if you've only joined now, these principles are just they are like the truth, and they cannot be argued, they cannot be denied. And I wouldn't want to sit here and teach you about how money works, and you know you don't have these principles down, and you guys are, you know, probably most of you are more than or about 10 years younger than me. So I'm not sitting here saying that I have the answer to everything in life. I've got 10 years more experience to what life brings, and my true essence of happiness has come from understanding and applying these principles to my life. And because of it, I've started becoming tremendously wealthy and financially independent and free from the burdens and stresses that life gives us. So that's really what I'm sharing with you today. It's no secret. You could probably find any of this on the internet, but I've written this down on a piece of paper just from my heart. So, you know, if I'm boring you, I do apologize, but maybe just see it that this is coming from somebody with real good intention and sharing something with you that's very important to myself. And I believe that if you apply these things, that they will really just enhance your life in more ways than just you know, being a rich person. You'll be wealthy, like I said earlier, and wealth is more than just money. It's about understanding that you have a responsibility on your, you know, on your relationships, on your, you know, on your finances, on your spiritual aspect of your life, and then also on your health. So yeah, that will just, you know, we're talking about freedom, and you have to actually earn that freedom. You have to fight for it. It's your responsibility. You can't be entitled to it. It's not just there. It requires discipline, and it requires you to be present. So that's why I'm sharing these principles with you. So it's like how you can biohack your life. You biohack yourself to financial freedom. Yeah, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel just about that, because I think that'd be awesome. And biohacking is just a way, you know, there's certain things in life that just work. So if you can find the principles that if you apply them, then they work, then why not? Because if you apply, there's so many bad principles out there that could lead you down, you know, a path of destruction. And you know, they are actually not hiding in plain sight. They are there for us to see, and we grip onto them very easily. So these principles are almost like secrets hiding in plain sight, and the reason why people don't succeed in life is because they don't apply them. It doesn't just start with you being here on this financial freedom course or festival and listening to, you know, me ramble on about principles. It's about an intentionality. It's truly getting to the core of who you are as a person. What is your relationship with money? One of the questions I ask my clients before I engage with them, because we actually have a chemistry session, and we kind of choose the clients that we want to deal with. So yes, we do decline people, and we put them in what we call a waiting room and say, I'm not going to engage with you on a you know, physical and emotional level yet until you apply certain principles, because I need to know that you're in. So yeah, that's why I'm here today, and I want you to understand that these principles do work, because that's the fruit of my life, and that's all I can share with you is what's happened in my life, and I know that they work because I've applied them. And when I was your age, no one said these things to me. I had to figure them out by myself, and luckily, by the grace of God, I've been, you know, surrounded by really influential people, and I just heard something at some stage and I applied that, and someone said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I immediately made a big change, and So that's where it happened, and that was about 6 years ago. And in 6 years' time, I've radically changed my life. I'm not in debt. I'm a director of a successful financial planning institute. I got married 8 months ago to a gorgeous, gorgeous blonde that I wouldn't have thought that I would catch in a million years. But I understood first that I needed to become the person that could be the right husband to her before I could have her. I wasn't entitled to a beautiful, woman to be my wife. And again, that required principles. So if you've just joined, that's why I'm rambling on about some deeper things than you thought. We're going to talk about money and get rich quick schemes. If that's what you thought is going to happen here today, I've got news for you. There are no get rich quick schemes. If someone talks to you about them, run. Run in the opposite direction as quickly as possible. That would be my advice every single time, because there is no such thing. There's only things as discipline and real good, healthy principles that you can apply in your everyday life that, sit with you as a person, because we all have our unique stories. And these principles can just plug into anybody's life if you apply them, adequately. Okay, I think you get the point. But we are now on principle number 7, if you are taking notes. Apparently they are recording this and they will be setting this, sending this out to you guys, I hope. But if not, I will be making a video about these principles on YouTube. And if you want access to it, just pop me an email or a message on LinkedIn. My handle is just Rudy Bauer, it's my name. And I will be happy to share that with you once I've created it. I'll actually get on top of that by next week, and hopefully we can get the content to you quite soon. Anyway, so principle number 7 is keep record. Budget, guys. I mean, this is probably one of the things that you get told about finances over and over and over and over and over. Your parents have probably said this to you until they are blue in the face. And we still fail to do it. My budget for the longest time was just a piece of paper that I would write down whatever I thought I needed to spend money on or not. But you can actually be very intentional about your budget, and once you are, it actually radically changes your life and your perspective on your money, because you have control over it. You have, you can see what's happening to your money, how much you're saving. Principle number 3 is very possible that you can leave some room for margin or room for error. It helps you to get out of debt. It helps you to save. It helps you to set goals, and it helps you to give. So budgeting allows all of the previous stuff that I've spoken about to be possible, and because you can add it in there. And what I will do is I will actually, if you mail me, my email is rudy@thewealthroom. That's RUDI@thewealthroom.co.za. I'll send you a free budgeting tool. It's probably not the best one out there, so if you can find a better one, be my guest. I share this one with my clients, and I'll be happy to share it with you. It's the one that I use for my personal finances for myself and my wife, and it doesn't really matter as long as you just have a tool that can help you sit down and actually intentionally write down where your money is going and how you're spending things, and so that you can plan ahead. Because if you get into a place where you realize that you have more month than money, then it puts you in a position where you're in a little bit more control. And you can start applying certain things to get out of that space, whether it be to get a side hustle or to spend less or whatever it may be for you. But you can then identify that, and you're in a little bit more control of that. You are then able to sit down and actually start making a plan. Then you can start going to your mentor or to your financial advisor and ask real questions that are adequate to that are relevant to your life. How do I manage this? Because that's a better question than how do I earn more interest on my investment? Because that's something that you will have a little bit more control over, and your advisor would probably be able to tell you a lot more directly. So definitely, guys, keep record, budget. I'll give you my email address again. It's Rudi, RUDI, @thewealthroom.co.za. I'll be happy to send it to you. And then this one, Principle 8. This is probably the one that's spoken about the most in books that I read, or audio, audio books or podcasts, is getting a side hustle. Man, passive income is the key, the absolute key to financial freedom. And a side hustle, when I speak to people about side hustles, they go, buddy, you don't know how busy I am. I just don't have time for anything. Do you expect me to now have another job? And that's the typical response. And I get that, because, man, I'm busy too. But I try not to use that word, because that gives me a level of entitlement to rest. I'm not saying don't rest, because remember, we're talking about freedom here, and rest is one of the aspects of health, and that's one of the 4 quadrants that require your financial peace and your overall happiness. So I'm not saying don't rest, but know when to rest, and don't be entitled to rest. Be as busy as you can possibly be, but you can be busy while resting. Now that's a bizarre statement, Rudi, you're all thinking, but we all have talents and we all have passions in our life. What we do fail to do most of the time is follow our passions and exercise our talents. Now take a moment to think about that, because all of us are good at something, and all of us are passionate about something. If you can exert that energy for something that you're already really good at and something that you're passionate about, it won't be working, because you're good at it and you're passionate about it. So yes, I know, let's find the job. Let's just go find that perfect job that that allows for that. Yeah, you probably won't in the first 10 years. If you do, man, I'm so happy for you, because that's awesome. I did, but it took me many years to get to the place where I'm good at financial advice and actually truly passionate about it, because it's only once I realized the purpose of it that I became passionate about it, and it's only after many years of studying that I actually became good at it, because before that I was just a glorified salesman. But there's something that all of you are good at, and all of us are good at, and you can create a side hustle out of one of your hobbies. Just learn how to monetize things. Guys, there's so many different ways to do this. Open a Shopify account. I've got some cool, just some side hustle ideas. You can start a money-making blog. I know blogs are probably so outdated, so start a money-making vlog. Learn how to operate on YouTube. That's why we started it, guys. I don't necessarily have all the answers on how YouTube works, but I'm learning as I'm going. And the more I'm learning, I'm just fascinated by the vastness that is available to us and how you can start earning. So yeah, start a vlog, start sharing your thoughts with people, and learn how to do it in a professional way and create content that's going to add value to people's lives. Again, altruism is key. You need to want to create things that are going to add value first, not so that you can earn bucks. That's really important, because people will see through you and they'll see that you have a hidden agenda. So really just put content out there that you want to see embetter other people, because you put it out there for free, but it actually requires a lot of time investment sometimes. But you can do this in the comfort of your own home, over weekends. Just get some lights and an iPhone, really, and or a Samsung or a Huawei or whatever you guys I'm not going to have the whole cell phone debate here. But and then you guys can start running Facebook advertising. Man, you can do Facebook advertising for your local businesses. COVID-19 has crippled businesses, and you guys are young, you're savvy, you understand how it works. Facebook advertising is super simple and really easy to manage. It doesn't really have to do any kind of time. You can or acquire any kind of time. It's going to just be that you need to be intentional about, what target market your client wants, yada, yada, yada. Again, there's so many free courses on this. There's so many books on it. And you can really start earning up to, I don't know, 20, 30,000 Rand a month without even really putting any time into it. Other than you guys already doing. I know that you guys are busy in your study, but this is something you can do. For 1 hour a week, you could probably start earning about 1,000 to 2,000 Rand a week. So think about that. It's something that you can do, and I think all of you have the capability. You spend so much time on your social media, why not start earning some bucks? Teaching English online, man, this is amazing. There's a course called TEFL. I bought this for my wife beginning of the year, and she's probably going to graduate soon. It's not a difficult course. You can do it in 6 weeks, and you can start earning anything from 11 to 15,000 Rand for an hour a day's work. Really, like that's how simple it is. It just requires that you have a good internet connection and that you can speak English fluently. That's it. And you have to do this TEFL course. Preferably, if you have a degree, then they favor that. But this is something that you can earn some extra bucks on. Anyway, it's you can also become a freelance writer, or you can launch a Shopify store and sell some really cool products, and you can market it on your Instagram. Super easy. We've just started a furniture store for my wife. We're in the process of doing that. She's super busy, and so am I. But you just get people to manage it, and once you have enough, sources of income, you can just let off some of that to start getting people to work for you. The earlier you start doing that, you're really gonna just see how that frees up your life for so many things. So I hope that is something that sticks with you, because it doesn't have to be one of the things I just mentioned now, but it can be something that you start thinking about and start grooming. You don't have to have 20 side hustles, but just allow yourself to think of yourself like that you're an entrepreneur. You don't have to be the most entrepreneurial person in the world. Just understand that you have a gift and you have a talent, and there's something that you can do out there that you can offer a service to somebody which they're willing to pay you for. And if you do it with an intention to actually add value to them, even better, because they'll be so more willing to do it. And the more you actually engage on that level, more people will want to have the service of yours, and you can start training people to do that. So don't underestimate what's inside of you. There's so much more for you, and having a side hustle is not just about creating more disposable income. It actually just frees up yourself to start believing that there's so much more for you, especially when you're studying, guys. I think when you're studying, a lot of your life is limited to the fact that you just see yourself in this role that you're studying for. 10 years after, or 12 years after university, now just giving away my age, I'm meeting more and more people that are doing something completely different to what they were studying. And I'm not discouraging that you should study, but I'm just saying that don't limit yourself to believing that that's what you're going to be. Open up your mind to more, because there's so much more, and there's so much more things that you can do without exerting inordinate amount of energy. And I really think that that's something that's going to be very helpful for you in your life forward. Because imagine starting at the age of 21 or 22. I don't know how old most of you are. But I wish that I had done that, because I've only started doing that, 4 years ago, and starting to see how these passive incomes are building. My passive incomes on the side of what I don't do for a living, pay all my bills. So what I earn from financial planning is now, it's just extra. And that changes my intention in the way that I run my business, because I don't have to go sit in front of a client and know that I have to close a deal because I have to put food on the table. I'm financially free. I don't have that as a thing that grips me every time I am talking about something that I'm passionate about. So yeah, that's something that I believe will definitely aid to you being financially free if we're talking about the money aspect. Don't be so entitled to your time, and don't limit yourself to thinking that you're not able and capable to do something. All of us have something great in us. All of us have something to offer. Learn to sell it. Cool. We are almost getting to, we've got the last two principles, and yeah, then if we have enough time, then I'll try and answer some of the questions that you guys have sent to me. Yeah, but I hope you're still having fun. I wish we had some more time because I'm really having a great time. Principle number 9 will be to seek wise counsel. Now, that is probably one of the most difficult things that you would do successfully in your life, because very little people will truly have intention to see you succeed. One of my mentors the other day, he's a very, very successful guy. He runs multiple companies, here and all over the world. And the one thing that he said to me was the key to his success. He said, is that tell the world what you want to achieve, but show them first. So he said, tell the world what you want to achieve, but show them first. And this is so important and so key and vital, because you can't just be blabbing your thoughts to everybody. You need to see your thoughts as gifts. And that's how I've seen it. That's why I have my little black book and my little flash drive there, that I can put it on a digital place, because I am so intentional about my thoughts and how I share them. If I can't share them with a mentor, somebody that I know without a shadow of doubt will take that information and turn it into something better for me, then I just rather write it down. Then I don't tell anybody. But it is key that you find people in your life that you can go sit down and speak about your thoughts, because you need to sometimes just hear what's muddled in your head, how that sounds. Sometimes you're so worried about stupid stuff, man. And once you hear yourself saying it, then you realize, okay, this is stupid. And your mentor will probably say to you, this is stupid. But why it is important to seek wise counsel is the following. I've created a system for my life that I only have 3 or 4 people at any given time that have the authority to speak over my life. Meaning that when they speak, it has an effect on how I react. Okay, so that is the inner circle that I have. And no, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is your mother or your father or your brother or your auntie or your uncle. That means that it is somebody that you intentionally found and, man, attracted them. If you're a person that prays, I would say pray for them. Pray that somebody like that comes into your life, because they are rare to find. That inner circle is somebody that you meet up with either weekly or monthly, depending on their schedule and yours. I meet up with this guy that I just spoke to you about once a week. I don't know how I got that this guy is so busy, but he puts aside 90 minutes a week to speak to me. And that's just the season of my life where I'm in right now, that I require that much. There's so much happening in my head, and there's so much innovation and things that I'm coming up with, and that he's helping me direct. But find somebody like that right now, as soon as possible. And that somebody can be a diary, because you know your thoughts. I would urge you diarize. There's no one wiser about your life than you. Start writing these things down. Yeah, so the inner circle will be your mentor or mentors. You'll be lucky to find 3. I know people with more, but it becomes very difficult to manage that. That becomes a time constraint thing then. The outer circle will be the people you love and your best friends. That will be your mother, father, auntie, uncle, spouse, brother, sister. Everyone in your your circle of people that you trust and love. But you don't necessarily give them the authority to speak over your life. And the reason why this is important, guys, is because we become discouraged when we share our thoughts and our ideas with people, and what they give us back is rejection, or they shoot down our idea, or they give us something that that they make us feel like our idea was stupid. Okay, so don't necessarily share your ideas and your thoughts with everybody in your family or all your closest friends. Because quite frankly, this is something that was very difficult for me to get grips on, is that they don't necessarily care. And it's not because they don't care about you. It's just because your thought doesn't resonate with them and it's not going to make them successful. Okay. And that's the reason why they will reject it or bring it down, or they're jealous that that you've got to come to all these great ideas. The other thing that you need to understand is that you will why you need to not find, or why you have to find people that have intentionality with the way that you present things in your life, is that because you have these ideas and they will make you proceed forward in life, and you have all the passion in the world about it, you can sometimes put expectation on someone else to respond in a certain way. But if you putting that on them, and you can then be disappointed if they respond in a different way. So rather have less people that understand where you are going and what you want to achieve, and then they respond appropriately. So don't just necessarily share it with everybody. And then there's the third out circle. That's your highs and buys, the people that you walk into at university. How's it? How are you? Cool. You, Susie, all the noise, everybody else. And sometimes these people affect us so negatively because we want to impress them for whatever damn reason. And don't let whatever words they speak over your life, you just. In Afrikaans, they say this was water op 'n een se rug. It's water doesn't sit on a duck's feathers. And that's how their comments should be about your thoughts and ideas, and what they think about you shouldn't really matter at all. Okay. Then the last point, I know that we're running out of time. Sean just let me know that we've only got 15 minutes left and that the event ends at 6:30. So the last principle that I want to share with you guys, continuous professional development. The person who stops studying is forever hopelessly doomed to mediocrity. And that's just one of those things. So rather, I know that you all are studying at the moment and that you are going to head into some sort of profession at some stage, but rather find a joy in studying, because there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much things that you can learn, that you can add value to people. And the reason why altruism is so important to me is because that's the way that I study. I don't study for me so that I can be the smartest person in the room. I study so that I can add value to people when I speak to them. And that's one of the key things that I've found has just led me to great successes and riches in my life, is because I'm constantly developing who I am as a person through reading good books, through spending time on good podcasts, and in my professional capacity, I've never stopped studying, not for a minute. So I urge you to have that same desire for knowledge. And that's it. So I would just like to thank all of you for your time, and that you had the intentionality to attend a seminar like this or a webinar like this. I really hope that I've added some value to you. I really hope that I've been able to inspire you to be better in whatever way. And I hope that these principles could just affect your life in a positive way. And again, if you guys want to reach out to me, I am available on LinkedIn, Rudy Bauer. We have a YouTube channel called The Wealth Room. We've actually already recorded some amazing content that hasn't been put up yet. We'll be recording quite a lot. That will be something that's free to you. We are busy launching a Udemy course that we can actually teach you some valuable investment principles and how to save. And yeah, I've got my personal profiles and stuff as well, Rudy Bauer, and you can go check that out. You're also very welcome to send me an email, and I can help you set up some of these things. If you have any questions, you are very welcome to just chat to me. Cool, that's me. Shawnee? Sean, you're on mute.
Thanks, Rudy. Thank you so much for the session. I think there's a lot of value to be grabbed out of everything that was said. We will share this recording with everyone on YouTube, and we'll see if we can maybe just send it to your emails as well as soon as it's ready. Thank you so much for attending. And like Rudy said, taking the first step to actually gaining financial freedom. It is a challenge. It's not going to be easy, but all of us attending are probably still very young, with a large future ahead of us. So yeah. I love everything that was said. I want to thank Rudy so much for his session. And then yes, so this is the first of 3 sessions. So please feel free to share the event with anybody you think that might find value in this. Tomorrow's session will be from 5 to 6:30 again with Landiwe. A bit more investment focused rather than the psychology of financial freedom. But I think the first session was very valuable in terms of how you need to think and how you need to structure your life before you can even start thinking about achieving financial freedom. So awesome. Thank you so much for everyone that attended. Thanks for the great feedback and all of the questions. We ran a bit over time today, so we will try and get to the questions on the 3rd event and see if we can answer all of the questions that you gave us. Thank you so much to everybody that joined, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.